Welcome! Do you want to learn English in a fun and easy way? In this video, we teach English using narrated, animated stories. Here is how it works. On the left, watch the beautiful animations. They are designed to help you understand and enjoy the story. On the right, you can read along as you listen to the narrator. When we reach a difficult word, don't worry. A box will appear at the bottom with a simple definition and an example to help you learn. Let's get started.
Imagine waking up one morning, ready for a normal day. You might argue a little with your neighbor, go to the market to buy fresh bread, and then head to your work. You are completely unaware that a giant mountain nearby is about to explode. This explosion will erase your world forever. This is how life was for the people of Pompeii on its last day. This book will take you on an amazing journey. It is the story of Pompeii, from being a lively Roman city to becoming a buried tomb. We will look closely at the daily lives of its citizens. These were ordinary people doing ordinary things. Then we will learn about the terrifying natural disaster that trapped them. This event stopped their lives and froze them in time. Pompeii was a busy and rich city. It was built near Mount Vesuvius, a large volcano. The land around the volcano was very good for farming. People grew many crops like grapes and olives. Merchants traded goods, and the city was full of activity. But no one knew that the mountain that gave them rich soil would also bring their end. They lived unaware of the terrible catastrophe that was coming. In 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius erupted. A huge cloud of ash, rock, and gas covered Pompeii. The city was buried deep under the ground. It stayed hidden for almost 1,700 years. People forgot where it was. But this tragic event turned into something important. When Pompeii was found again, it was like a perfect time capsule. Because of the ash, everything was saved. Houses, shops, food, art, and even the shapes of people and animals were preserved. This helped the study of archaeology greatly. Pompeii became the best window into daily Roman life that we have. Why did this terrible event become such a gift to modern archaeology? What hidden messages are the old ruins still whispering to us 2,000 years later? This book will answer these questions. It will show how Pompeii helps us understand history, human behavior, and the power of nature. Get ready to discover the secrets of a city frozen in time. 2. A good life before the fire. Pompeii was a rich and busy city before the volcano erupted. It had between 10,000 and 20,000 people living there. Many of them were merchants, makers of goods, and farmers. The city had many nice public buildings and large private homes. These homes had beautiful decorations and art. Pompeii was in a great spot for trade. It sat on a plateau of old lava near the sea, with a river mouth that was a safe port. This made it perfect for business. Goods like wine, olive oil, and a special fish sauce called garum passed through its streets. These goods were traded across the Roman Empire, bringing great wealth to the city. The land around Pompeii was very fertile because of the volcano. People grew many grapes for wine and different fruits and vegetables. They grew olives, figs, pears, and nuts, making the region very productive. They did not know that this rich black earth came from earlier volcano eruptions. Their wealth, in a sad way, came from the same mountain that would one day destroy them. The volcanic soil allowed the city to thrive, unknowingly building its future on a dangerous foundation. Life in Pompeii was active and often loud. The well-paved streets were usually full of people. They had high sidewalks to keep pedestrians out of the mud, and stepping stones helped people cross the streets easily. There were many shops and bars. People could buy quick meals at places called thermopolia. These were like ancient fast food shops where working people bought cooked food. Many city homes did not have their own kitchens. At these places, Romans ate meaty stews with pork or duck, salted fish, baked cheese, and spiced wine, much like we eat fast food today. People also cared about politics. Candidates for local jobs painted messages on walls asking for votes. These old campaign ads, some of the oldest political ads in history, still survive today. For fun, people went to public baths to relax and clean themselves. They watched chariot races and gladiators fight in the large amphitheater. They also enjoyed plays in 2 theaters, showing the city's rich culture. But not everything in Pompeii was good or beautiful. Beneath the comfortable surface of society lay the infrastructure of Roman slavery. Recent discoveries show the dark side of this Roman society.
Archaeologists found a bakery prison. This was a terrible place where enslaved people and donkeys were forced to work together. They ground grain in the dark for many hours each day. The floor had special marks to guide the animals, who were often blindfolded, forcing them to walk in circles endlessly. The director of the Pompeii Park, Gabriel Zuchtriegel, called this the most shocking side of ancient slavery. He said it showed how people were treated with great brutality. These enslaved people had no freedom or rights, living lives of continuous hard labor. Their suffering helped the rich people of Pompeii live their good lives. This sad reality shows us a grim picture of life for some before the volcano's catastrophe. The earth shakes. The people of Pompeii lived busy and active lives, but beneath their feet the earth was sending clear warnings they did not understand. Many years before the Great Eruption, in 62 AD, a strong earthquake shook the entire city. This was a true catastrophe, causing widespread damage to Pompeii and its nearby city Herculaneum. Buildings fell, walls cracked, and many parts of the cities were broken. For 17 long years after this event, Pompeii was still in reconstruction. Workers fixed homes, temples, and public places. Scaffolding stood against walls all over the city, showing that the rebuilding work was far from finished. During these years of repair, the ground often trembled. People living around Mount Vesuvius became accustomed to these small shakes. They happened so often in their region, called Campania, that people stopped worrying about them. They simply accepted these ground movements as normal, everyday events. This familiarity was a tragic mistake. Below them, Mount Vesuvius, a powerful stratovolcano, was slowly gathering immense pressure. The small tremors were vital warning signs, yet no one recognized the true danger. They had no idea that the beautiful mountain above them held such a destructive force, ready to explode. Even today, historians continue to discuss the exact month and day Vesuvius erupted. For many years, people believed the eruption happened on August 24th. This traditional date came from old letters written by a man named Pliny the Younger, who saw the event from afar. However, new discoveries have made this date a great mystery. Archaeologists have found autumn fruits like pomegranates, figs, and walnuts in Pompeii. These fruits grow and are harvested later in the year, usually in the fall, not in August. Another clue came in 2018. A charcoal inscription was found, written on a wall. It read, "The 16th day before the calends of November," which means around October 17th. This message, perhaps a note from a worker, strongly suggests the eruption happened in the fall. Some experts still believe the August date is correct, arguing that old texts might have been copied wrongly over time. But the discovery of fall fruits and this small charcoal note makes the true date of the eruption an ongoing puzzle for historians. The people of Pompeii lived with their earth-shaking, completely unaware that the end of their world was much closer than they could ever imagine, and perhaps even in a different season. 4. The dark sky falls. The mighty Mount Vesuvius began its powerful eruption around 1 in the afternoon. A huge, umbrella-shaped cloud rose high into the sky, signaling the start of a terrible ordeal. Soon after, ash and small light rocks called pumice started to fall on Pompeii. This was not a quick event. It was a strong, prolonged nightmare that lasted about 32 hours in total. It was a disaster far more powerful than anyone could imagine. For the first few hours, people could still try to escape the city, but the streets quickly filled with intense panic. People screamed and ran, carts carrying belongings struggled to move, and animals became wild, adding to the chaos. Ash fell like heavy gray snow, covering everything in a thick blanket. By midday, the sky turned completely dark, even though it was daytime. Residents were forced to light lamps in their homes and in the streets. The constant rain of pumice grew heavier and heavier. The weight pushed down hard on the roofs of houses, and many began to collapse under the strain. Residents faced a terrifying split-second choice: flee into the chaotic, ash-filled streets with an uncertain future, or hide inside their homes, hoping for safety. About 2,000 people chose to stay. They went into cellars or sturdy stone buildings, trying to wait for the danger to pass. For these people, this decision would sadly prove deadly. As evening came, around 7 o'clock, the eruption changed character. It became far more dangerous and deadly. Hot, fast-moving clouds of gas, ash, and rock started to rush down the mountain. These deadly avalanches were called pyroclastic currents. They moved at impossible speeds, incinerating everything in their path. Nothing was fast enough to escape them. These currents struck again and again through the night, appearing approximately 80 minutes apart. The most terrible moment arrived at daybreak the next morning. For a short time, there was a quiet period, and some residents tried desperately to use it to flee the doomed city. But then suddenly, at 7 minutes past 7, the deadliest current hit. This particularly thick and superheated cloud of toxic gas and rock fragments rushed into the city. It was so toxic that it killed everyone who was still there, suffocating them instantly and without warning. A huge flow of rock and ash followed, pulling down walls and roofs, burying all the dead and everything around them. Pompeii was covered quickly and deeply. The city lay under a layer of volcanic material, almost 6 meters, about 19 feet deep. Under all that ash and rock, a Roman city waited in the dark, almost perfectly preserved. Thousands were sealed in this dark tomb forever. As superheated avalanches of toxic gas and rock roared down the mountain, who would miraculously escape the ash, and who would be sealed in the dark forever? 5. Lost under the ground. The city of Pompeii was lost under a mountain of ash, but we know much about the terrible event thanks to a young man named Pliny the Younger. He was 17 years old and lived far from the volcano, across the Bay of Naples. From there, he watched the huge ash cloud rise into the sky. Years later, he wrote 2 long letters to a historian. These letters are the first extant written account of a volcanic eruption. Pliny the Younger described the giant cloud like a mushroom. He also wrote about his uncle, Pliny the Elder, a famous naturalist and admiral. His uncle bravely sailed towards the volcano to help people escape, but he died on the beach from the toxic fumes. Pliny the Younger's detailed account helped us understand what happened. Even today, a powerful volcanic eruption with a tall column of gas and ash is called a Plinian eruption because of him. After the ash became hard and the people who lived escaped, Pompeii simply stopped existing. The Roman leaders did not find anything to save. Over time, new farms grew on top of the buried city.
A new town was built nearby. People did not know that a rich Roman city lay hidden beneath their feet. The name Pompeii appeared in some old books, but its exact place was forgotten. By the Middle Ages, almost everyone had completely forgotten about the city. However, there were small discoveries by chance. In the first part of the 1600s, workers dug tunnels for water. They found old walls and objects, but did not understand what they were. Then, in 1594, an architect named Domingo Fontana was digging a canal. He found old writings and ruins. Scholars then started to think that something important was hidden there. But careful digging did not start until 1748. King Charles III of the Two Sicilies, after finding things in another city called Herculaneum, ordered people to dig in Pompeii. This rediscovery was a huge event in Europe. People were already very interested in antiquity, the old Greek and Roman times. Suddenly, they found intact Roman streets, full rooms, old meals, and even children's toys. The finds changed European art and building styles. Famous people like Goethe and Mozart visited. Books like The Last Days of Pompeii became very popular. But at first, the digging was not systematic science. It was more like treasure hunting or plunder. Many valuable items were taken to royal collections. The places where things were found were not written down.
This made it hard to truly understand the history. It took many years and new ways of working, led by Giuseppe Fiorelli in the 1860s, to bring real order to the excavations. It is a monumental wonder how such a large, lively city could simply disappear from human memory for so long, its very name lost until it was brought back to light. Finding the dead. After the city of Pompeii was found again, people began to dig. For a long time, they found old buildings and objects, but then they found something much more powerful and heartbreaking: the people who died. In the 1800s, an important man named Giuseppe Fiorelli made a big discovery. He was an archaeologist, meaning he studied ancient human history and prehistory through things found by digging. Fiorelli noticed empty spaces, like hollows, in the hard ash that covered the city. He realized these spaces were left by the bodies of the people from Pompeii. The ash had covered them quickly, then hardened like stone around them. Over many, many years, the soft parts of the bodies inside turned to dust, but the empty shapes remained perfectly. Fiorelli had a very clever and important idea. He started pouring liquid plaster into these empty spaces. When the plaster dried, he carefully removed the surrounding ash. What he saw was both amazing and incredibly sad. The plaster showed the exact shapes of the people at the very moment they died.
You could see their faces, their hands, and how they tried to protect themselves or their loved ones from the deadly ash and gas. There were families huddled together, parents covering their children, and people reaching out or holding on to things they valued. One touching find was a dog, still on its chain, frozen in the painful twist of its final struggle. These plaster casts are not statues made by artists. They are the actual last moments of real people, captured forever. These casts made the human side of the disaster very clear. Standing near them today, visitors can feel a powerful connection to the people from long ago. It is like looking at a sad, still photograph from the distant past, making the story of Pompeii deeply real and personal. It truly shows the agonizing final poses of those who could not escape. Today, scientists use new and advanced technology to learn even more about these victims. They use machines like CT scanners, which are normally used in hospitals to look inside human bodies. These scanners can look inside the plaster casts without breaking them or causing any damage. They reveal the skeletal structures of the people inside. This helps experts learn many things: their age when they died, whether they were male or female, what their general health was like, and even what they ate. Sometimes these scans even show small objects that the victims were carrying when they died, such as jewelry, coins, or other personal items.
This new information gives us more details about their lives and their very last moments. The discovery of the dead and these brilliant techniques to preserve and study their memory have taught us much. It helps us remember the people of Pompeii not just as part of an ancient city, but as individuals whose lives were tragically stopped by the volcano. These methods allow us to look back almost 2,000 years and understand their struggle, giving them a voice even now. 7. New secrets today. Pompeii is a city that never stops surprising us. Even today, archaeologists are still digging, finding new parts of the ancient city that no one has seen for nearly 2,000 years. About 1/3 of Pompeii is still hidden under the ground. These excavations keep showing us that Pompeii is like a history crime scene that is always active, always telling more secrets about the people who lived there. In recent years, many wonderful things have been found. In 2023, people were excited to see a fresco showing food that looks much like modern pizza. It was a flatbread topped with fruits like pomegranates and dates, served alongside a goblet of wine. This shows that people 2,000 years ago ate meals surprisingly similar to ours today. It's fun to think that Roman kids might have enjoyed this ancient pizza and doodled on walls too. Another special find came in 2024. Archaeologists found charcoal drawings on the unplastered walls of a house.
These drawings were high up,
and they looked like they were made by children. The pictures showed gladiators, boxers, and birds of prey. It's sweet to think that Roman children also drew on their bedroom walls, just like kids today. They drew what they saw and what made them happy, giving us a glimpse into their daily lives. The digging also tells sad stories of the final moments of life. In 2025, a family was found in a house that had a mythological fresco on its wall. 4 people, including a child, had tried to escape the volcano's ash and gas. They barricaded themselves inside a bedroom, pushing a wooden bed against the door. But it was not enough. The ash covered them, saving the shapes of their bodies, the bed frame, and even a bronze amulet a child wore around their neck. Their story shows how people tried hard to save themselves, but the volcano was too strong. One of the most moving discoveries was made in August 2024. In a small, dark room, archaeologists found the skeletal remains of 2 people, a man and a woman. The woman was lying on what was once a bed. Around her were valuable gold, silver, and bronze coins, and jewelry, including gold and pearl earrings. She also had a key. It seems she was trying to get her valuable things just moments before she died. The man, a young teenager, was found in another corner of the room, near what looked like an exit. This room makes us wonder, what was their final plan?
Were they trying to escape together? Or did they have different ideas in their last moments? Pompeii continues to share these deep human stories, making the past feel very close. 8. What we learn now. For a long time, people thought Pompeii's story was about total annihilation. They believed everyone died and the city vanished. But new studies have made this idea more complicated. We now know that many thousands of people actually escaped the eruption. Out of 15,000 to 20,000 residents, about 80 to 85% got away before the worst of the disaster happened. A large part of the population survived. What happened to these people who escaped? One researcher spent 8 years scouring old Roman records and inscriptions. She found evidence of over 200 survivors in 12 different cities. Most moved to cities north of Mount Vesuvius, outside the most dangerous area. They often settled with other survivors, using old friendships and business ties to rebuild their lives. For instance, a merchant named Aulus Umbricius moved to Puteoli, a busy port city. He continued his family's fish sauce business. When his first child was born, he named the boy Puteolanus, remembering their lost home, but marking a new start. Even more surprisingly, some people returned to the ruined city. These were often survivors who could not afford to start a new life elsewhere. Others came to search for valuable items left in the ash. This led to the precarious new settlement forming on the ruins.
It was like a simple camp among the broken buildings, without the normal services of a city. People lived there for some time, making shelters in the rubble, before the area was completely abandoned in the 5th century. Today, Mount Vesuvius is not a quiet mountain. It is the only active volcano on the European mainland and has erupted many times since 79 AD, with its last major eruption in 1944. Over 3 million people now live in the shadow of Vesuvius, near Naples. This makes the ancient story of Pompeii very important for today's world. Italian officials have elaborate emergency plans to evacuate people from the red zone if it erupts again. Scientists study how Vesuvius behaved in 79 AD to better understand what could happen next. Pompeii is not just a lesson from history. It is a serious warning and a guide for what might happen in the future. The mountain sleeps now, silent but powerful. How long do you think it will remain quiet? And what will people learn from Pompeii when it next wakes?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world.